So for those of you that are trying to figure out how do you get in the game, and this might be the first time that you're doing resistance organizing in that way, recognize there are different lanes on the highway. My pastor would tell me this regularly when I was in Illinois. He would use the example. I don't know if anyone's from Illinois in the room or online. Follows him. All right, Illinois, I like you. I went to Northwestern. Go Cats. All right, you know. And so he would say, if I'm in Evanston, I'm trying to get to Chicago. I could go down Lakeshore Drive. You know, I could take 94. I could take the train, however it may be, but I could still end at that same destination. And he was using that from a faith perspective. He was like, there's a lot of ways for us to have that walk. We have different walks, but the same journey, right? In the same way, you have to appreciate that each of you are going to bring a different skill and attribute and talent and background to the resistance, and that's a good thing. You don't want everyone to be able to do the exact same thing. Think about this. 6 different entities work together to challenge the travel ban and provide counsel for plaintiffs, each providing a unique expertise in that manner. So that means there were multiple organizations, individuals who all had legal training, legal background, had done that walk in that manner, but they understood, you know what? I'm going to have this particular aspect of the resistance. You're going to have this particular aspect of resistance because we're all trying to get to the same end goal. And we were able to understand it in that particular way and walk it through in that particular way. And so when you're thinking through how do you achieve that, what we always try to respect our team and kind of have the conversations around is what is your background, what is your skill, and what is your service, right? So what is my background? Maybe my background is communications. Maybe it's legal. Maybe it's finance. Maybe it's digital. Whatever it may be, that's the background I have, in the respective industry. My skill is different from my background though, right? So I might have a communications background, but I'm better with broadcast and TV and radio than I am with print. Or I might be better with magazine because I can do long form than I can, in the digital form. So my service will be, I'm going to volunteer to be a press secretary for the nonprofit. My service is going to be, I'm going to help with media training for those that are going to be doing interviews for the marches. That's going to be the way I give back and in that particular way. And so people then understood, you know what? I might be getting involved for the first time and may not understand all the nuances. I'm trying to figure out whether it be political organizing, whether it be issue organizing, social organizing, what have you. But if I want to figure out how I get in, first I got to have the values to connect to what I'm trying to do, to be a part of the institution. And as I'm going towards that direction to the institution, then I can apply my service and skill. What do I mean by that? I don't know political affiliations, but I'll use myself. I'm a Democrat. There's a lot of people that have democratic values and democratic principles that may not be a part of the Democratic Party. So I can't assume that you're a part of one or another. But if you want to be engaged, whether you're D or R, then you have to say, you know what? What's my background? My background's in communication and my background's in organizing. What's my skill? I'm really good at getting people to say hello. Hello. Right? And then my service will be, I'm going to train the next group of organizers. So when you're thinking about how to be effective as an organizer, number one, it usually takes someone 7 times before they remember your name. I'm not making that up. That's actually been studied. That's the reason why you usually get 7 pieces of mail. Think about that. When you think about upcoming elections that happen, there is a reason why these things do happen. There's a reason why the name usually is really large and the messaging is really small. Because when you think about some of the recent studies, and another pastor I had from years ago used to tell us this, people will forget about 90% of what you say to them. But if you keep walking through what's happening, right, and you have that repeated message that's happening in that way, okay, now I'm engaged. Now I can pick up on this, right? I think about the efforts when we talk about train the trainer, my skill of how do I help someone with fundraising, for example, which fundraising is applicable. If you want to build movements, you need resources. You can't just build a movement without resources. Give them the exercise of the circles of influence, where you have someone do the first exercise of, I'm going to draw a circle. The first circle is going to be my inner circle. Every one of my family and friends that are closest to me, I'm going to put in this right here. That means you're going to ask some cousins and siblings that you may not have talked to, but you're going to ask them for money anyway. It's going to be okay, Then the next ring is, what's my next closest circle? What's my next closest circle? And literally start to think through that orbit in that way. When I did that exercise the first time and just trying to think through how I can expand out my different fundraising apparatus to be able to build in that way, I was able to think of 18 different circles, which I promise you, when you do this exercise, you'll also start to understand, you know what? I didn't realize my skill could be this. So if my skill is this, then my service can be that. And if you want to figure out ways to sustain a movement, then you have to figure out how does your service get sustained? Because your skills will have variance over time. But if you think about, I want to find more ways to provide, you ask yourself, if you were a lawyer and went to the airport to help when people were being detained, are you still providing that service? If you showed up and helped people organize and get involved with the trainings, are you still getting involved with that training in that respective way?